we can go ahead and just jump right into it. What questions do we have, or issues we're running into, things we're wanting to solve or get feedback or validation from? Unmute, put it in the chat. Ty, I see you unmuting. You got something for us?
I'll mute. Yeah, I want to know everybody's idea on what's the best Facebook, Instagram responses that they get for their videos and still shot stuff.
I'm not quite sure, Ty, what you're asking. It might be because you're breaking up just a tad, but you're wanting feedback on, is it your Facebook posts or on your Facebook ads, or?
Have a terrible microphone.
Here, let's see if
Switching
the
over to
AirPods work.
Okay, my wife and our business partner, my wife is here too. So is that any better?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Wanting to know what everybody's best practices are on their Facebook and Instagram ads, the static ads and recorded videos.
Yeah. I know us coaches, all three of us are probably itching to answer that question because we've got some feedback there for you. But I know we have quite a few clients that have also ran ads or are running ads. And so we'd love to get some feedback if anybody has any on what type of ads they've ran and if they've seen better results with video or stagnant.
So I've had a lot of luck with Facebook ads working with Alyssa this year. And as much as I didn't want to do it, the videos that had my face talking were the ones that did the best for whatever reason. I even took one in the dead of summer and I was like literally dripping sweat onto the phone and it did well. So those are the ones that did well for me. Put yourself out there, as awkward as it is.
Yes.
No, Robert was saying even this last week in a client call that we had a strategy call that his least favorite ad for Redmond Growth is the one that promotes the best, the one that Robert hates the most. So that's just going to be part of it. The worst one you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your wife will show you it over and over and over again when it shows up.
Oh yeah, all family members, friends who see it are going to send it to you. They're going to think it's so funny. Absolutely. Yeah. And just know, like, everybody feels awkward doing those videos, but they do work, and Alyssa is able to edit them to make them not look nearly as awkward. And so just don't let yourself get in the way. Get the video over to Alyssa, let her work her magic. Having a video, I'm pretty reluctant to even run ads with a client if they're going to use a stagnant ad. They just do not work nearly as well as videos. And so that would be my main suggestion. Also let Alyssa kind of lead that dance. She's the expert there. She'll give you great advice in regards to scripts, what we need to target, all of that good stuff. Awesome. Cool. I see a thumbs up from Ty. What other questions do we have today? Thoughts?
Or more feedback on the Facebook if you have it. Could also go from negative side, things that haven't produced well. Things to not waste your time with.
I see more people popping on. I think it's a quite, I know it got cold here. And when I say cold, I think it's 60 today in Oklahoma, but we were previously 90. So it's colder here, but I think everybody's just having a cold fall, slow morning.
27 degrees the other day here. So I don't want to hear it.
No, 60 sounds nice for you. Yeah. Yesterday it was in the 40s in the morning and I was like, oh my God, we jumped straight to winter. It's not okay in Oklahoma. What other questions, feedback, thoughts, things you're wanting to bounce off?
I think I'll add this on the Facebook side just to give people a little bit more time. Something as well that would be important is if you're going to do any sort of an ad on a passive marketing source like that, where people are not searching your services directly, you have to have a hooked offer, something that really causes people to want to engage with it. And reference that in the video that you do as well. But make sure that there's an offer that actually gets people and applies to all of your services, not just one thing, and has a bit of a time sensitivity to it as well. You can do that a lot more with some of those, some of those paid marketing streams where, like we talked about last week with Robert when he showed that graphic for why winter's the best time. They've got that beat your New Year's resolution that was on for them until the end of October 31st getting scheduled, right? Similar ideas, but there are just some main points you want to make sure to hit. That way you're not wasting any revenue. And anything that you do with marketing, make certain that you have tracking set up and accessible to yourself and your team so that it actually is up to date and accurate. But you got to have tracking to be able to measure ROI. You don't want to go based on how it felt that week or the last week, but rather by factually how many leads came in, what did we do with them, did we follow up with them, the proper 10 business days before we vetted them out, all of those sort of things. But that'd be some extra 2 cents there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm also pretty reluctant to run ads for anybody who's going to offer just a free estimate. Your ad's going to hurt a little bit. Everybody offers a free estimate. You have to have something more compelling than that. We can absolutely get creative with that offer, but you got to be willing to offer something. Michael, I don't know if you can testify to this, but Facebook ads, leads that you guys get from those, they are going to be more passive leads. These are not people who are actively searching for your service. It's somebody who's doom scrolling endlessly on social media and then happens to click on your ad because maybe they have thought about remodeling their kitchen or whatever it is. And so your pursuit of those leads has to be more aggressive than it is for a lead that's coming from either Google or referral or repeat customer. Michael, I don't know if you have feedback on that or what your experience is there.
Yeah, I was taken aback when I was getting leads and wasn't even able to get appointments right off the bat. Usually I was used to people coming to our website and they were ready to go and my close rate was high. And it was, if you're calling, I'm getting an appointment. With the Facebook leads, you have to have a pipeline set up. Lean on your coach to get CMM's pipeline set up and put them through the ringer. Annoy them until you get it. Sometimes it's that 5th day that you're not getting in touch with them and they're just busy. But you do have to be far more active. And there's some that you don't ever get in touch with. But you just put them through the ringer. Get your admin calling them, hit them a couple different directions with CMM, but also just like calling them yourself or texting them yourself from a regular phone call. But yeah, you have to be far more on top of it. It's not like a lead for people that are looking for whatever it is you're doing.
Totally. Yes, textbook, Michael. That's totally the expectations of what you should be doing. So love to hear it. And then if you ever enter a slow season, I know we're entering holidays, entering winter for some of you, that typically is a little bit slower than summer. And I kind of like what Robert talked about last time. I don't believe that there's ever a season unless you are in like Minnesota and do gutters and literally can't install during the winter. But there's really never a season that you should like be dead in the water, no leads. There's always going to be a season that's a little bit slower than your busy season, but you should never be SOL. But if you have, your CMM, you have your lead database, this is a great opportunity if things are a little bit slower going into the holidays to call through past leads that you never got a hold of, call through past estimates, send out emails through CMM. There's so much wealth in that customer database that just is sitting there getting neglected. And so if you need any help getting into that routine, knowing how to send out the emails, having a follow-up script, we've got all that for you. We just need somebody on your team actually boots on the ground, making the calls, sending the emails. So, Keelan, what's happening?
When do you become annoying, like Michael or whoever? How many times a day? Once a day, twice a day, once every other day? Like in your experience, just curious.
I haven't had anyone say, "Hey, you're annoying," and I'll even say, "Hey, like have your CMM set up that says don't mean to be annoying." Like throw it out there that you know you're being annoying, but they had an interest, and they can. I wait till they say, "No, I didn't mean to click that and fill out the form." Like they're not going to say that. So they want you to. From my experience, they want you. Hey, I've just been super busy. I really appreciate you still calling. Like they want that nudge. So I haven't had anybody say I'm being annoying, but I throw it out there. Hey, I'm sorry if I'm being annoying. And some days it's just one, some days it's an email. I like the method of like hit them with a text and an email 3 minutes apart, or hit them with a text and then call from your phone as opposed to calling from CMM, because sometimes it's routed different.
Right.
And split it up a little bit, try different times a day, automate it with CMM and have it at different times a day, because sometimes people are busy during this time and they're not even looking at it. But I haven't had anybody say that I was annoying. I tell them I'm annoying.
Yeah. I love that. That's such a good way to disarm it, like to just say, hey, I don't mean to badger you at all. I haven't been able to get a hold of you. I don't know if my stuff is going through, like using that type of language. And if anybody ever does get mad, which like Michael was saying, doesn't really happen often. All you have to say is, oh my goodness, I am so, so sorry. I did not mean to bother you. We got this form. I didn't know if my calls were coming through because I just hadn't heard back from you. If you're not interested, I can totally take you off for the list. Really appreciate your time. Who's going
Because
to
the
get mad at
reality,
that?
yeah, and the reality is the last thing that you ever heard from this person was, I want your help. I have something that I need from you. And so you're just acting in good earnest faith. As the business owner, you're leading the song and dance. You're the one providing the service. So yeah, it very rarely ever gets into now with if you are asking people for reviews and they never did work with you and they're saying stop talking to me, stop reaching out, or I'm going to give you a bad review. Okay, well yeah, that makes sense. But knowing the audience, someone's reached out to you. So you want to do your due diligence to reach out to them. So what we say as a best practice is to give them we fully is 10 business days, a combination of text, email, and phone call twice a day. And you're not doing that every single time. You're not leaving a voicemail every single time. That's just bogging it down with nonsense. But cycling through those things at the beginning of the day and the end of the day, just because people are busy, and any sort of lead or marketing that you do is inherently getting in front of lazier leads. Word of mouth are people that know someone and talk to somebody and then wanted to find you. Anything that you do on Google usually means that they're looking up your service and they're actively looking for a lead. Beyond that, or sorry, actively looking for a contractor. Beyond that, the more the marketing does the work to get in their face, the more you also have to do the work to stay in their face, if that makes any sense. Great question though, Keelan.
Thanks. Oh, I did have a win. I was like, I know I have a win. Where's my win?
Give it to us. Yeah, we're ready.
I ran into this architect at a coffee shop who was speaking with one of my friends, and he's a volunteer on a Sharon Land Trust, and they do like affordable housing, stuff like that. I just got a big grant, and they needed a construction manager, and he was like, "You have any interest?" And I was like, "Maybe." And so, for right now, it's part-time, but I did do an interview with him, and I got the job, and it's pays $85 an hour, and I can use my company to do a lot of the work as well. So that was kind of awesome.
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah.
that's huge.
So that was a little win.
Yes, now that could turn into a much bigger win, Those relationships are so nice to have and to nurture. And when it is a slower season and there's just less people searching online, it's those types of relationships that keep you busy. So you got to stay in front of them. You got to nurture those.
Totally.
Speaking of that, holidays are coming up. So if you do have a company or person or somebody who is actively referring you, or you're wanting somebody to actively refer you, it is a great time to put together goodie bags for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, do some drop-offs with your one sheets. And again, we're not selling anybody. We're just saying, hey, I appreciate you, or I'd love to help you out if you're way. That is a beautiful way to make friends. That's ultimately going to result in more work. What other questions do we have today? Issues we're running into, things we're questioning, wanting to solve. Laura.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So my question is hopefully specific to any electrical contractors on the call. We're fine-tuning our sales process for specifically residential repairs. So we have a customer that calls and says, I have outlets that aren't working or my lights are flickering, where it's clearly going to be a troubleshooting. And what I'm hearing feedback from my crew is that, I mean, for many years, we would charge an hourly minimum. So you call us and say, my plugs don't work or my power's out. Okay, it's X amount for a 1 hour minimum plus any parts. And then the guys get out there, and if it's something they can't fix within the 1 hour, we just continue on with the hourly charge. But it seems like the competition now is charging, or a more modern way of approaching those type of calls is it's a diagnostic fee. And then how much time do we spend on the diagnostic fee when they don't really know what the problem is? They've got to start taking apart a bunch of receptacles, or maybe it's in a light fixture. You know, it's an older home, there's splices in the wall. So I'm curious how other contractors go about quantifying and communicating to the customer in that scenario. What I feel like on the phone, if I say it's a 1 hour minimum, the customer's like, oh, I don't like that. I'll call you back and let you know. So I feel like they get overwhelmed with the 1 hour minimum initially. So maybe the diagnostic fee is a softer way to get your foot in the door. So just curious of what others' experience is with that. And we've been doing this a long time, but we haven't been doing it this way. So we're trying to catch up with, you know, the modern way to run a service call at somebody's house.
It's a
Nice.
great question.
Off the top, anyone that's specifically electrician in the call, maybe raise your hand so we know who you are. Dan Lewis. You got some help for us here?
Hey there. There's two ways to look at this. The first one is, in my opinion, is you got to do what works for your business. So I wouldn't necessarily cater too much to the competition. Maybe just word it differently. Maybe still take your hourly minimum, but you can call it, keep your same procedures, just call it something different. Call it troubleshooting charge or diagnostic charge or something like that. And then if they get into, what could it cost past that, then you could say, well, then you can elaborate more of, well, the diagnostic charge includes an hour of troubleshooting. That's kind of how we handle that. The other way we do this too is that we say that, we've still got a truck with $5,000 worth of parts and tools and all this other stuff in it. And we also have the skilled technician going to your place to troubleshoot. There's a cost to that, and that's just based in that first hour cost.
Nice. Yeah, great feedback there, Dan.
Yep.
Yeah, I would say similarly on that, is the troubleshooting fee or troubleshooting call. Like you can book it that way, and that's just to figure out the problem. And then it goes on into what you need to after that, where you give a quote for what the work would be. But if they just want to find out what the issue is, and if we can solve it, right then and there with just a quick, snip of wire and connecting things up, cool. Then that's the troubleshooting call. But a lot of times it turns into more than that. Fred, I know you had your hand up, but if you have something to share, go ahead. You can unmute, or we'll go to Adalberto.
Not really. I kind of agree with what y'all was saying, so I don't really have much to add to that.
Fair enough.
Validation. We like that too.
All right. Well, Mr. Rodriguez.
Hey everyone, we had that same, I don't want to say issue throughout the years, but we have what was a service call, and then we get a lot of calls saying that how much is your diagnosis fee, or how much is it to come check my AC for whatever reason that it's not working. And we would always say, because our service call, it's $90, then our hourly rate is 115, so that's 205. And they will say, well, I'll call you back, or I'll let you know. They were just shopping to see who can get out there that same day. So what we did is saying there's a diagnosis fee for $90 that will get us into the door. Well, that's actually been getting us more into the door of the customer. And then once we figure out what the problem is, we just include that hour that we should supposed to be doing at the beginning, because you actually doing that hourly rate plus whatever parts you have to do. But going back on that, that helped us a lot to get into people's, yes, come out today or get us on the schedule, rather than saying, well, let's just find someone that can do it here, for a diagnosis fee. Because at the end of the day, if you're there for a capacitor, we're an HVAC company, so we can be there for a capacitor, and you can diagnose it like in less than 15 minutes, but you're still getting your $90 diagnostics fee, which is still winning. But then you're able to get that customer, calling you back, because they know that you're not going to charge them for that hourly rate plus the service call that you're going out there for.
Nice.
Yeah. I think that's pretty textbook. And that's typically the responses that people want. There's no way to quote over the phone. I think just being so candid about that, where it's like, hey, we can absolutely help you, can definitely get a licensed technician out to give you a detailed and accurate diagnosis. We won't do any work until we have an agreed upon price and timeline. Like, that's comforting to someone. If you're just shooting off the side of your hip, it's like, okay, well, you're telling me the range right now, but that is going to probably change when you're in front of me. People are going to be more comfortable with knowing exactly what's going on. Dan, I see your hand back up. Do you have more feedback on this? Might have been an accident. Dan, you're muted if you're trying to talk. Laura, I want to ask, where do you feel like people are getting stuck in the process? Are you feeling like, hey, I'm having a hard time over the phone, like explaining it, or are your texts having a hard time implementing it? Like, where in the process do you feel like you're struggling to make this transition over to this diagnostic fee?
So the most recent feedback I've got from my top guys is, and to their point, they're not wrong. Me personally, I've never done a service call. Like, I don't know what that is like. So the feedback I'm getting is like, well, you told the customer it's a 1 hour minimum, and hopefully we can fix it in the 1 hour. And if we can't, then we're going to advise you of our findings and give you some options so you can make an informed decision going forward. The feedback I'm getting is that when we're troubleshooting the electrical, it's just there's so many potential of it's hidden in a splice in the wall or in the attic. Like, they don't always go right to it and find it. A lot of times my top guys do, because they've been doing this so long. They just have a natural aptitude to find problems like that. But I'm looking in the bigger picture down the road when I have a larger crew. What is the reasonable expectation for the customer when they are hiring us to come solve an electrical power outage or an issue that's not readily fixable? And how do we prepare the customer that, okay, so the first hour is $100, and then every hour after that's $50. I'm just making up numbers. It's not that, and so that's the feedback. I'm like, what are other electrical contractors? How are you handling these trouble calls where it's just not a GFI that's bad, or something obvious that's fixable in an hour? And the guys in the field are telling me it's really awkward and uncomfortable in those situations, and the pressure that they're under to try and both serve the company and take care of the customer. So I'm not sure.
What's making it awkward for them? what's making it awkward?
I think that the pressure that the customer is like, you know, they're seeing a bill rack up. So if you're charging $255 an hour, it's a 1 hour minimum, and the guys are an hour and a half or an hour and 45 minutes into why we can't get these receptacles to work. And it's looking like, you know, they go up in the attic and there's 10 junction boxes with open splices, and, you know, it's just a mess. I guess knowing how to properly train them in those scenarios to prepare the customer that, you know, you're likely going to need to rewire your house, or, you know, whatever it's going to look like.
So it's like the customer saying something, like it's a customer, like what does the customer say in those moments?
Yeah, it's the feedback yesterday of just pressuring. Well, why is it taking you so long? You know, they become very suspicious.
Yeah. So, the part of the reason why I ask those kinds of questions is because a lot of times that pressure and like awkwardness is created more so from how the tech is feeling and managing things rather than what the customer is actually doing. If a tech is saying in confidence, like, here is the issue, here's how far we were able to make, and here's why, and they're able to explain thoroughly what has happened and where we're at, and then just continues to, you know, give the customer the bill or give the customer decisions to make and give them the different price points based upon the different decisions. Like, you know, the thought is there anyone else that could have handled that call in those situations? I guess, is there any other electrician that could have handled it any differently?
Mm-hmm.
And if the answer is no, then there's not really a whole lot, you know, like someone can be frustrated or upset, but that's the only outcome, right, possible in that situation. And so here's the perspective I'm coming from, Laura. The perspective I'm coming from, if after consulting a lot of, you know, service businesses for the past 10 years, is that I have found that technicians are more reluctant to want to follow process or want to follow these things, and they can get uncomfortable. And a lot of times that discomfort is more of an illusion than it is in actual reality. You know, it's almost like the mentality is almost like you're a clerk at Target. You know, like you can complain about the price, but if you're complaining about the price of like stuff you're buying at Target to the clerk, what does the clerk respond? Okay, like, do you want me to like you feel stupid doing that, right? If you're like complaining to the clerk at Target, you feel kind of dumb.
Yeah.
And the reason is because it's like, what do you want me to do about this? Like, you know, the cost of eggs, or I don't know what people buy at Target, honestly. Target confuses me. I love Target. I'm confused by it. But do you get what I'm saying? And so I don't want to come across as if I'm like just saying, oh, this is, you know, an issue your techs are making it up. I know it's probably a real issue, but I'm just clarifying the place I'm coming from is a place where, after most of the companies I've worked with these kind of issues specifically related to the sales process, and service companies, I don't know what this is. I think it may be because a lot of guys sign up to be tradesmen and they just want to do, you know, trade related work, and then they work for another, service company, and then it's like, oh great, I got to do all this stuff that's like they think is outside of like the trade. And so I understand it, but I wonder if there is a little bit of room to say, hey guys, let's just not worry about it, right? Let's just give them the price. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what I feel like saying to them, but I'm apprehensive because I can't work the battery drill. Like, who am I to sit there and tout to them, like, get over your BS and sell the job? Tell them it's not our fault that their wiring in their house is screwed up. Like, we did not do that. And
here's
you're
how you
hiring
do
us
it.
to fix your problem. So here's what
Here's
it's
how
going
you-
to cost.
Exactly. So here's how you do it: is you through almost a Socratic method. You get to a point where the tech realizes themselves that the customer really isn't like making it that bad, that it is mostly their perception of things or how they feel that they are projecting onto the customer.
Mhm.
And the way that you do that is by like honestly asking some of the questions that I were to ask you, you know, like in asking, okay, how is it, like just a moment ago, I was asking you like, what's actually happening? How's it making it awkward? And the only kind of specific example that you were able to give to me that your techs are, I assume, are giving to you, right? And now you're telling me,
Yeah.
is, well, you know, what have you guys been doing up there for like all this time? And if the answer to that is you just tell them what you've been doing up there all this time,
Yeah, exactly.
you know,
Yeah.
and so it's like, okay, so you tell them all that you're doing up there at this time, then what does the customer say?
Mhm.
That's how I'd recommend going over it with the text. I would say, hey guys, like do you have any like explosive situations happen where a customer's like, I am not paying for this? You know, like does that happen very often?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, we've had a couple oddball where, you know, people
Right.
people can just be eccentric or whatever. They're going to happen. But for the most part, I would say no.
Yeah. And so it's like, okay, so the customer's still paying the bill.
Hmm.
Like, you know, we occasionally run into situations where there are factors beyond our control that prevent us from meeting the customer's expectation. As we are doing the work, we're explaining to the customer what's happening.
Hmm.
And we're also not afraid to charge what we charge because we are still making progress and bringing value to the problem by getting the problem in a spot where it's more defined, way more defined than it was before.
Yep.
Or it's way more, you know, solvable in a solvable place than it was before.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there's this quote by a guy named Paul Graham. He's a Silicon Valley billionaire guy. He's not far from you, Laura. You should go find this guy. Ask him, Silicon Valley. And he says that you've found the right price when people complain but still buy. And I think the thing I like about that quote isn't to necessarily give, you know, our clients an action item. Keep on increasing your price until people complain. That's going to be a mess. But what I like about it is the quote assumes that some degree of, you know, a customer complaint or some degree of like, you know, that should always just be expected in business a little bit, right? You're going to have people that are going to be begrudging and whatever, but are they still paying the bill? Yes. Are we still doing a great job? Yes. Are we still getting positive reviews? Yes. Then what's the real issue here? Is it really an issue with the customer, or is it just kind of made up in our head? I have a really good talk on this. It's somewhere in our course on pricing and value, about how a lot of times we as business owners can do this too. I have had to really work hard over the years for myself to come out of this. But we a lot of times can like project our perception and our wallets onto someone else. And we can make this whole issue, right, about affordability and what the person can do. At the end of the day, it's just a bucket of assumptions, you know?
Yep.
And so
You validated exactly what my intuition was telling me about the whole discussion yesterday. So thank you. So much of it is the mindset and, you know, stepping into this transition of just training our people, because it's something Matt and I we never had growing up in this business. It was the way it was done, and now it's very different. So we're learning along with our crew. So thank you, Robert, for validating what I thought. It's really a mindset of the tech in the field.
yeah,
What is the customer's pain point, and they're going to pay us to make their pain go away.
And Laura, you know how to handle this with your techs. It may be uncomfortable, it may be uneasy, I totally get, hey, like I'm not the one with the, you know, power drill. Who am I?
Yeah.
And that too is a little bit of your own false perception. I don't think, unless, you know, someone has actually told you this on your team, which if they did, that's kind of a bigger issue. I doubt anyone has ever told you on your team. Who are you to tell me that? You don't run a power drill.
No,
Like-
they told me that yesterday. They said, you should come out on a service call and see what it's like.
Okay.
Was it your brother, Laura?
Well, I won't throw Matthew under the bus, but
Oh my gosh, Laura, this is the exact
I'm also
kind of
not allowed
stuff
to-
I'm talking about. We
I'm
need
almost-
a
I'm
higher
almost-
culture shift.
I'm also not
The
allowed to
problem
drive
with
any
that
of the heavy
statement-
equipment.
The problem with that statement is that it's not a technical aspect issue. It's not a physical issue. It's a psychological and emotional issue for these people.
That's a really good point too.
It
That's
doesn't
a great
matter
point,
if you've ever
Ben.
picked up a drill or not. It doesn't mean shit at this point. The
You're
problem that
so
the
right.
customer is receiving is that I'm afraid of what's happening inside my walls because I don't know what's wrong with it. And so far, you don't know what's wrong with it. So there's a fear factor there that your techs are dealing with. It doesn't matter what tool they have, and it doesn't matter what tool you picked up before. So that's core
true.
of the issue.
And also your feedback from Matt, your brother, just doesn't count. I'm sorry, Laura. I'll talk to the
Is he on
guy.
the
I
call? I
know
hope
Matt
he's
well
listening.
enough. I'll talk to him and be like, what are you doing, Matt? What are you doing saying this stuff? So all that to say is that even if they did say that, to Ben's point, the feedback is, well, hey, I don't, you know, at all know how to operate a power drill in the way that you do. And luckily, that's why you do the job that you do, and I do the job that I do, because I really know the job that I do. And what I'm talking to you about incorporates the job that I do. So if I were asking you questions about electrical work, I would not want to take my advice. I would want to take yours. But this is an electrical work problem. The battery powered skill set has no correlation to dealing with customers in this way, you know. And so I get it. What I'm getting at, Laura, is, and this is something that I too have struggled with, that many in this room have struggled with, is just like we're talking about your techs kind of projecting their own issues onto the situation. Be careful of a little bit. That's just a lie you're kind of telling yourself. I don't have a right to do this. I don't have a right to do that. It's just kind of one of those imposter syndrome things. And I get it. It's real. You know, that's a real feeling. But I would encourage you to just step forward in confidence, even if you don't feel super confident. Just step forward in confident, and the more you do, it's like, how do we build self-esteem? How do we build confidence? We build esteem and confidence by doing like continuously esteemable things, by doing the next right thing. You know, this is the next right thing in your business. When you go after it, you may not feel confident going after it, but by going after it, that's how you build more and more of that self-esteem in the future. For years, Laura, I didn't feel like I had a right to tell other business owners things because I didn't know how to swing a hammer or work a power drill. And frankly, I still don't, right? But, you know, I co-own a remodeling company and have been doing this for as long as I have, to be like, I openly tell people, I am not going to give you feedback on your skill set because you can run circles around me, around your trade skill set.
Exactly.
But I can help you fix your business. Right. I really know how to fix your business. And so in that same way, I get it, but just on both sides, it's a made up thing. So let's move on here. I think Ty Burcham, were you raising your hand, Ty?
I was trying, but I'm on my phone and can't see a hand to raise.
I know. I thought that is exactly what could happen. And I don't want you looking at your phone for too long because you're driving. So I got you, bro.
One quick thing. Just like you, Robert, I'm a consumer. And for example, my wife and I are driving to East Texas to our Airbnb that my brother and I own with our wives. And just an example.
Hey, Ty, I don't mean to interrupt. If you try turning off your video, although I do love seeing you, it might help with the quality. The audio is a little distorted. Let's try that. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. I don't do videos either because of my head. But We have started sending out over the past 8 months a digital guest book every one of our Airbnb people, and we have received 5-star reviews on every single country. One who stayed at our property, who didn't get what to expect when you come to our property, and they gave us a 4-star review for the first time in 2.5 years. And I would tell you, we have electricians that work with us in our remodeling company, plumbers, sheetrockers, everybody. They're not the greatest on salesperson and people skills. So I would say to send out a what to expect when our guy gets there, and tell them all the things that you're saying as the person, a business owner, or who is sending them out and setting the appointment, is this is what our technician is going to do. And it's that affirmation of they're going to go through these things. And sometimes it does come out to, we don't know what the hell's wrong. Sometimes it does get to that, but at least you're setting that expectation before they get there and they in a compromising position with the client, because that isn't what they trained to go do. I trained to be in sales for the last 30 years. They trained to be service technicians, electricians, plumbers, and a lot of them have great people skill sets and a lot of them don't. And it's okay that we didn't send them to your house because they had the greatest people skill sets. We sent them so they could fix your problem. That's my thought process.
I love that feedback. And the gist of what I got from Ty was, if we set the right expectations up front, it not only prevents a lot of those misunderstandings that the techs could run into, but it also gives the techs more confidence when they're going in, because the expectations have been set and they're not worried about some sort of possible, at the end of the day, that's what they're worried about. They're worried about, that's like the thing behind the worry is like, we didn't meet their expectations, or the customer's going to get upset because they had a different expectation. I'm so glad.
If you don't mind, I'm going to share when we get to a stopping point. I'm going to share the digital guest book that we send out for our company. I mean, and show you what all they can click on, that they know exactly, and then they feel like they're part of our family before they get to our place.
Yeah.
And so I'll put it out. My wife did
such a believer in that. Such a believer in that. In fact, even in Power Builders, we do our onboarding kind of project kickoff call before we start a project. And a big part of that kickoff call is setting expectations. Like, we even set expectations, be like, hey, we're doing a kitchen remodel, let's say. It's like, hey, how have you guys planned for the next month or so to do your meals? Right? You're not going to have a kitchen. Have you guys thought through this? Right? Here's what it's like living on a construction site. Right? Here's what you should expect. Because we have run into problems in the past where customers are like, when can I use my laundry room? Or when, you know what I mean? And so I totally agree. And I'm so glad you said that, because that thought went into my head before I talked to Laura was, man, if these guys set the expectations up front, hey, we don't always solve the issue because of certain factors outside of our control. Rarely does that happen. But if it does happen, we'll at least be able to do X, Y, Z for you today. Right? That's a really, really great suggestion. Ty, I'd love to see that booklet, bro. If you're willing to share that. And if anyone else, that's the kind of stuff that I'm really wanting in our group and in this program, is like the whole concept, contractors helping contractors. It's like, yeah, Redmond Growth, we've got a lot of great stuff, and we've got systems and processes and, tons of stuff. But if you guys have something, right, that you're doing on your own that works and you're willing to share it, we would love that, right? We would love that. So I think Justin Edwards, did you have your hand up for a while?
I did. I was going to say that I've seen guys run into the problem where they over explain to a customer where they don't have the same technical abilities that the technician on site has. And if I'm in your house trying to explain the thermodynamics of your unit, that may be over your head. So I have to simplify that to make you understand what I'm seeing and what I need to do to fix it. So I would keep that in consideration, because if you over explain it to them, they're trying to understand something that's outside of their realm. So I would just try to keep the explanation as simple as possible if I'm the guy on site, as to what the problem is and then the route to fix the problem.
I was laughing to myself thinking of like, a customer calling a technician to their house, and technician's diagnosing the problem, and they go to the customer and they say, okay, so how much do you know about the laws of thermodynamics?
Right. So you have to find a way to put it to where the average homeowner is, they understand the problem, and then they see the value in what you're saying to fix the issue. That's just my thought on maybe if they're a little uncomfortable in the process, maybe they're trying to explain it in a way that they're talking to another electrician versus a nurse, let's say. So have them simplify the way they come out with the issue.
Yeah. I don't always necessarily think going technical is bad. But I hear what you're saying in terms of if someone doesn't understand, they're not going to understand. The framework that I always love using, just because we've all had experience, is simply like the framework of a doctor or a surgeon, right? Like if you're meeting with a doctor, you're meeting with a surgeon, that person might start by going really deep into, start talking about muscles and bones I didn't even know I had, right? But the really good ones are then able to translate that in a way that I, as just like a normal common person, can understand, right? So it's this balance of coming across as, okay, this guy really knows what he's talking about and I trust him, but also making sure that in that process, you're not going over someone's head. Lance, my boy, what's up? Didn't even know you were here, dude.
Yeah, what's up? It's all right. Just kind of listening in. So there was this study. We talked about this in retail, but it's applicable to like the home service industry, remodeling, etc. That it was something like 7 out of 10 people in this, that we consider like consumers in our industry. They basically, what this, this sales guru, the study explained was that there was 2 types of people. They can be separated into 2 types. You had a thinker and you had a feeler. And so 70% or 7 out of 10 of those people are what they're considered feelers. And only 30% or, 3 out of 10 of those people are what are like the technical thinking type. And so what's interesting is that most people, when we talk to them, the feeler is the type of person who's like, oh, well, how's this, going to look with my cabinets, or, is my kid going to be able to reach that light switch? Like they're just only thinking about, the function of things and how things look. They really kind of don't care about how things actually operate. This, of course, is not true of everybody, right? But what's interesting is that those feeler types, so the majority of our clients, 70%, their biggest fear is just making the wrong decision. And so to his point, whenever we get overly technical about something, what you do is you basically make this person freeze, like, okay, wait a minute, I'm in over my head. I'm not sure I know what I'm doing. I should probably just not do this and maybe do some more research, something else. And so what we do is we actually inhibit our sales process by, it's like a fact, you actually stop your sales process and by overcomplicating things to people. And which is why a lot of our competitors, when you wonder why somebody might be beating you and it's not about price, they might even be more than you. Sometimes their sales process is just more simple than yours. Sometimes they're just telling people things that are just easier for them to understand, and because you got to think only 3 out of 10 of those people actually care or know what you're talking about when you start getting overly technical about, the conversion of amperage into watts and this and that. Nobody really cares about that stuff. So that's all I had to say.
Really good feedback. Really good feedback. Hey guys, before we run out of time, and I'll leave a little bit of time, this will only take a second. Before we run out of time, I did want everyone to know, so a couple of weeks ago, we talked about, hey, who would want to like do a builder trend kind of Q&A like workshop for people who have specific builder trend related questions, right? So I want to be really clear here. This is not like a intro to Builder Trend, teaching you how to use the entire software platform. This is a workshop for people. If you're interested in Builder Trend, you can come. But this is primarily for people who are already using Builder Trend and have specific questions on how to do specific things. We're going to be doing that on November 11th at 2 p.m. Central. So that's not next week. It's the week after that. No, Tuesday, November 11th at 2 p.m. Central. We're going to be bringing in a couple of people who are like actual contractors. Riley is one of them.
Summit Home Solutions.
Summit Homes. I almost said Southern. Alex Barrientos, company. Yeah, there's a lot of Southern Homes stuff.
Yeah.
All that to say is that we're having a Builder Trend workshop. It seemed like there was like 7 or 8 people that were interested in that. And so if you're interested in that, we're not going to be charging for this one. If you're interested in that, I'm putting a link in the chat where you just fill out a form, and that's just kind of your RSVP, right? And so again, over the next week and a half or so, I want to start gathering the specific issues that we're going to be addressing. We already have a good number of them there from the last time that we talked. But if you'd like to attend a Builder Trend 2-day workshop that's led by contractors who are really using Builder Trend well, who have really figured it out, if you have specific questions, this would be a great time to get those answered. So I just put the link in the chat, and then I'm also going to put a link in the group chat here shortly.
Perfect.
Lance, did you have something else?
Sorry,
his hand never went down.
I don't know what that is.
Builder Trend?
Yeah.
So Builder Trend is a construction management software platform. It's one of the most popular ones out there. And it's very feature rich. It can do a lot, but their onboarding process is not that great. And so this is just really what it is it's a time to, we've got a lot of clients who use Builder Trend. And so it's a time to help like troubleshoot specific issues and for contractors to show other people how they are using the software to make it work for them. And so, yeah, that's what it is. So, and if you're interested in it should only be an hour. If you're looking at different construction project management softwares, might be a good thing to come to as well. If you're feeling like you need software to do, scheduling and billing, and purchase orders and change orders, and it can do everything on one place. The thing I really love about Builder Trend is it gives every customer their own customer profile where the customer can see the schedule, they can see daily logs, they can make requests for change orders, they can approve proposals, they can approve change orders. But yeah, that's what it is. It's just a construction management software. We're going to be doing a little bit of a deep dive on it.
I'm still trying to figure out CMM, so that's like way beyond me.
One step at a time, brother. One step at a time.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other last kind of burning desires before we wrap up here today?
I think that's a no. All righty. Well, you guys know how we like to end these. So go ahead and unmute your mics. We'll say growth on 3 and get out into the rest of the week here. 1, 2, 3. Growth! See you guys. Thanks for being here.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.